Howdy folks, this is Edgar. Today I'm going to attempt to clip his hooves, and I figured I'd feed two birds with one hand and tell a story while I'm at it. Now, in case you're wondering what happened to my face, I was working in my mama's yard the other day and I decided to stab myself in the face with a branch. Speaking of mamas, tomorrow is Mother's Day. Hopefully I can perform a miracle and get this video uploaded by tomorrow. Which reminds me, I was going to tell you about that time I got stood up on Mother's Day. So here's the tool. They're actually rose clippers, and I need these. There's a storm a-brewing.
Hey Edgar, how you doing? Hi Precious.
Okay, let's see if I can multitask here. So once upon a time, I was driving to pick up my pet client Cooper, and I have to circle around the side of this mall, and I saw coming towards me the spitting image of Xander the Highlander. And so I waved to the fellow who's driving, and I would see this guy every few months. We'd pass on that same road around the mall. Every time we'd wave, and then one day I was going out a different exit and I saw him pass straight by in the direction I was about to go. So I turned and I was wondering, I wonder if he's gonna notice me back here. And he did. He waved behind him. And so I waved back. Then we got stopped at the same light together. He rolls his window down and he says, "Is that you?" "Yes, it is."
Can I have that pop? I think your feet might need it more. Yeah, good boy.
Oh, okay, so he says, "I like your car." And then he asks if I have an Instagram. And so I tell him I do, but I hardly ever go on there. And he found me right away. And he's like, "You haven't posted anything in 2 years." I'm like, I wasn't kidding that I don't go on there that often. Oh, now you got your little hands tucked in. Okay, so anyway, we both go off on our merry way. And I guess a few months went by and I decided to go on my Instagram. And there was a message from him. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So he's like, whatever, that's okay. And so he asked for my phone number, and so I gave him my phone number. And so he texted me, and he asked if I wanted to go on a hike. And I was like, that sounds like fun. But I told him, I'm probably a lot older than you think I am. He just laughed because I guess he saw my YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, he gets what I'm about. Oh, big yawn. Oh, he just curled his tongue so cute. I wish you could have seen that. It was so cute. So that next weekend, it was just so happened to be Mother's Day. So I don't really care too much about holy days, except for Halloween. So I started thinking, you know, even though he's seen my YouTube channel, he probably doesn't really, I don't know if he really is really gonna understand me. I had just been working on my Why I'm Still Single, the sequel video, and I decided I better get this out there so that just puts everything on the table. So that night I just stayed up late, editing the video. Oh yeah, I was up all night, all the way till the next morning. Gosh, it was probably like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I finally finished it, made the thumbnail and set it to public and saved. So that morning he texted me and asked me where I wanted to meet him. And I told him, well, we could go to Wilderness Park, and I didn't hear anything back from him. And after a while I was like, so does that sound good? And I didn't get a reply. And I started thinking, what if he decided just to go there? There's actually 4 different entrances to Wilderness Park. And I was thinking maybe his phone died, or maybe he didn't get cell phone signal out there. Now I know what you're thinking. Christina the Astonishing, what are you thinking? Going into the middle of nowhere to meet a complete stranger? Which reminds me of when I went to go see Abra last week. After I forced her to watch my latest video, she told me about how she ran out of true crime to watch, because that's her favorite show and she's watched every episode, except for the ones about cannibalism. And she says, I don't mean to victim blame, but a lot of those people are asking. And then she says to me, you would probably get eaten. Okay, so I used to drive for Uber, and I would always drive at night. And a lot of times people would invite me to go do things like, we're going to this party in this mansion. Do you want to come? No, gotta get them coins. Or we got an extra ticket to the Bucks game. You want to join us? That's too many people for me to be around. But one time I was driving, it was like the middle of the night, and these people lived way out in the country, and we got to their house and they were telling me about this shack that they built, and they turned it into a bar. And so when we got there, they had me drive around to the back of the house, and there's this little shack with this rusty corrugated door, and I like rusticy kind of things. And they get out and they opened the rusty corrugated door and they asked if I wanted to come inside, and I'm like, don't mind if I do. Anyway, it turned out to be fine. It was just like a little beachy shack with a nice clean sand floor. I didn't drink anything. I just wanted to check it out. I mean, one day I might build my own shack.
Want me to do your toes?
Oh, okay, the story. So I decided I would drive out to the park in case he didn't have cell phone signal or something. And there's 4 entrances. And so I drove past the first one. You could see the parking lot. And I'm looking for Xander's doppelganger. And I go to the second entrance and didn't see him there. Go to the third entrance. No sign. And I finally go to the last entrance, and it was a long road down to the parking lot, but I didn't want to be the one that was like, didn't show up. So on the drive home, I was feeling kind of dejected, and I felt like I'm probably gonna go home and have a good cry. But as soon as I got home, I just got overwhelmed with this sense of happiness. Home under my magical bubble with my animals. So I went out in the backyard and I laid out in the sun with the goats, and I just thought about life and how you really can't let your happiness depend on another person. So that turned out to be a really nice Mother's Day. I'm just so thankful that I'm not a douchebag.
Hey Edgar, did you like my story?
And I need to get to work.
Like and subscribe.